Hello, my classes of life science. This is Mrs. Stoller, and this is to help you guys realize what you've missed. If you missed yesterday's class or the day before, depending on what period you have me, this is to help explain the second half of cellular respiration that we were learning about. And I want to make sure that you all get the same education because I'm not there today. So the equation for cellular respiration needs to be memorized, and it needs to be memorized with the whole molecular formula equation, which is the 6O2 plus C6H12O6, and it needs to also be memorized in word form. Oxygen plus glucose yields carbon dioxide plus water plus ATP. One of the things I explained to the class was that carbon dioxide and water in cellular respiration are waste products, byproducts. They don't matter. We get rid of it. Obviously, when we do this, our carbon dioxide, we breathe it out. Water, unfortunately, you can know what we do with wastewater. Let's just say many of you guys ask me to go use the bathroom all the time. So you probably are getting rid of your wastewater from cellular respiration. It's this, the ATP, that high energy molecule we need in our cells, which helps us do anything. So again, memorize this, but here's an easy way to memorize it. You have to memorize the photosynthesis equation, correct? Well, it's backwards. The photosynthesis equation is backwards from the cellular respiration one. And what I mean by backwards is that, try to make this a little bit bigger for you guys, is that photosynthesis, let me go back. See, it's reactants and it's sunlight energy here. That's the only thing that's like really different. Sunlight energy is used to fuel the reactions. So these are your reactants, but if you look here, oh, look, it's your products of respiration. Now that energy is different from that energy, and that's the whole issue here with these two reactions with the photosynthesis plus cellular respiration. We are using the energy of our closest star, the sun, to create food, to create and make these glucose. Because when it gets right down to it, no matter what you eat, you always eat something that is either a plant or has eaten a plant, which are autotrophs, which all photosynthesize. And I stressed to you all last week that it is the most important chemical reaction on Earth because without it, life would cease to exist on our planet. And we would cease to exist. So we're included in that. Respiration, right? So your products of photosynthesis, your oxygen and your glucose molecule, is what you need to get respiration started. We call that the carbon cycle, where it takes that carbon from carbon dioxide and makes it into something that we all of us life forms can use. This is just a diagram. It relates that whole photosynthesis, that carbon cycle. Organic molecules, right? So that organic molecules have carbon in it. We learned that last unit. See, it all builds on everything. Then the mitochondria, when it does the cellular respiration, will convert that back into carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide enters the atmosphere again. Plants will use it with the help of light energy to create the and it just is a circle of life, right? The ATP, that energy that is going to power most of the cellular work, but you can also lose that energy off as heat. Our metabolism, when we burn, we burn our calories. Still have to show you guys that trick with lighting a cheese doodle on fire. I'll have to show you that one. That's pretty interesting, but a little dangerous. So I might maybe make a video of it instead, just like I'm making a video now. So this, you just want to make sure you label it. Again, this is just another version of what you just saw on the last slide. Just remember that all living things, not just all cells and mitochondria, all living things will do stage 1 of cellular respiration, where it occurs in the cytoplasm. So bacteria can do that, but bacteria cannot do the thing with the mitochondria because they don't have one. So again, chemical ATP. So how does bacteria get more energy other than the 2 ATP from stage 1? Well, we'll talk about that in just a minute. This I included, and somebody asked me in a class, why'd you include it? Because I said, because you need to know that it's definitely more complicated Cellular respiration is more complicated, but you are not to learn more complicated things until high school. And yes, you all are going to have to learn it. It's in biology. You're all required to take it by the state of Pennsylvania. I'm sorry. But the electron transport chain and the Krebs cycle, that's pretty much your stage 2. Stage 1 actually has a name. It's called glycolysis. You do not need to know that until high school biology. What you need to know is stage 1 produces 2 ATP. Stage 2 produces 34 to 36 ATP. So, as I was saying about the whole thing that bacteria do, after stage 1, if oxygen is present, it's going to go on to stage 2, especially if it has mitochondria. But what if, like, you're not in a very well oxygenated environment? And then you're probably thinking, well, how are we surviving? No, I'm talking about your cells. If your cells don't have enough oxygen, so there are parts of your body where the cells may not get enough oxygen because you're doing too much, like you're running a marathon. We'll talk about that as well. So here's what happens. There's 2 different types of things that happen depending on what organism you are. And some of you guys might have seen the yeast experiment. Please watch the video. That's in Schoology. I'll show you that in a minute. But what if oxygen is not present? Oxygen is not present. Respiration is always better with oxygen. You get more ATP molecules. That's what we're after. But without oxygen, cells have to switch to anaerobic respiration. Remember that anaerobic means without oxygen. This anaerobic respiration is fermentation. So make sure after the diagram you fill out your notes. Fermentation is this answer. And then oxygen would be your next blank because it says, without the use of oxygen. So this is called fermentation. Yes, you need to know this for the test. So there's 2 types of fermentation. I'm sure you guys can see that. There we go. 2 types of fermentation. One is alcoholic fermentation. This is used by yeast only, and I demonstrated it with a demo in class. If you didn't get to see it, I apologize. You missed out on some fascinating stuff. But you could watch the video on it. But instead of producing water and carbon dioxide, it produces alcohol, ethanol to be exact, and carbon dioxide. Lactic acid fermentation is what we and bacteria do. When there's no oxygen present, it produces lactic acid instead of alcohol or water. It's lactic acid and carbon dioxide. This is the reason when you feel that burn from your muscles when you're working out or you're running far distances or you're running really fast, you feel that burn. It's because your muscle cells all of a sudden they don't have enough oxygen because you are doing so much. They don't have enough oxygen because the amount of time that you're taking is not a nice long time for your body to get the chance to get your oxygen that you breathe in to everything, all those muscle cells in your body. So there needs to be a way to keep that ATP, keep that stage 1 of cellular respiration going. And just like I said, the purpose of both types of fermentation is you got to keep that stage 1 going until you can get into a more oxygenated environment. Because fermentation only makes 2 molecules of ATP. So you want to make sure you know that. So if it's an aerobic where you have oxygen and you're using the mitochondria, only it will make 36 ATP. And that's actually a lot better than the anaerobic, which is the fermentation, will only make 2. So make sure you remember that. 36 versus 2. And that's basically that in a nutshell. So this is another way to compare photosynthesis and cellular respiration. You want to look at that. This is on the slideshow, and I will show you where that is in just a second. So again, though, you are you have this. You want to fill all this out. You want to fill this out. Okay, yes, and yeah, if you look, let me zoom in on this one. Yeah, type of fermentation, that alcoholic fermentation, yeast does this. We use yeast to make wine, bread, cakes, that kind of thing. Beer, kimchi. I don't know if you guys know what kimchi is. Sauerkraut is another one. That is all used with yeast. Kimchi is pretty much a fermented cabbage, just like sauerkraut is kind of like the same thing. But kimchi is a Korean type of food. It's actually pretty tasty because I had a Korean roommate in college. They let me try it. It was awesome. All right, but that lactic acid buildup for us, and that's lactic acid fermentation. That's what we write right here. Again, it tells you, like, look, how can you avoid the hurt when running? Slow down your speed. Breathe deeply. All right, and a lot of my cross-country students have shared that with us today. So if you go into Schoology, and I'm using period 10 as an example, but all of your Schoology classes are all laid out the same way. And I'm going to zoom in. So unit 5, just want to show you guys things that you can do, especially because I'm not here today. I want to make sure you know where to find everything. The Kahoot, to practice on photosynthesis and cellular respiration. It's only about 16 questions. This one is a flashcard practice. What you can do is you can click on it, and it's practice, but you can also use it to copy it. Now, it's not going to open in Schoology. Again, click on the title, click on Continue, click on Join. Enter your first name and last initial. That's fine. Sometimes it'll do this, though. You see how it does that? Silly. Just hit the back button. Hit Join. And I'm just going to say Join Activity. And then, yep, there's my name. I use my personal account for this, so I don't have to, pay for it. Cell Energy. So this is called, it's flashcards, review and memorize terms and definitions, because that's half the battle, or over half the battle. So you get these flashcards here, and it says 2 out of 19, because I already showed somebody one of them. So still learning, it says, oh, you know one, because I checked it off. So one of the things you could do is you could make your own. Here's chlorophyll, put on one side of the your index card that you have. You can click on it, you flip it over, that's what you should write on the other side of your index card. And you'd be like, oh yeah, I know chlorophyll's that green pigment. So if you know it, you could put a check mark. And if you don't know it, oh, I need to study again. Put it in still learning and see how there's one that goes in still learning. The other one goes, oh no, oh, glucose. I know what glucose is. There you go. Check, I know it. So you can go through that. And to go on, you just want to hit got it. Kind of gets annoying, I know. Or you can write your own and do that. But this is an electronic way you can do that. However, if you're nowhere near a computer, but you have your stack of flashcards, it's a good way of studying, because you got to really study that. You need to know your equations. So you go back to your Schoology. Here's both slideshows, photosynthesis, cellular respiration. Here's the review. If you did not get the review sheets or you lost them, this is a way that you can click on it. You'd have an electronic copy. If you'll see my document up here, mine looks different from yours, remember? So you can definitely fill that out, and that would count. You're going to see this Friday folder today. You should see this to-do list, what you should do. Okay, do the practice test, finish the lab if you still have a lab, work on the review sheet. I have it due tomorrow, so I'm going to have to go through and change all of these. Yikes. So it is due on Monday. Not tomorrow. You won't be in school tomorrow. Bonus points again on the quiz if it's fully completed by Monday. And play the Kahoot many times, about 4 to 5. So everybody played it 4 times. Tuesday's quiz, yes, still. So yes, 4 to 5, not 6 to 7. If everyone did 6 to 7, we wouldn't have a chance. Some people wouldn't have a chance to play at all. All right. So again, in Friday's folder, here's your practice test. Please do it. I believe I gave you all, okay, 4 times. How about I give you guys 5 times to do it? Highest score, yes, with correct answers. So you really could look at the attempt. And there's definitely good things to practice. Also, one thing to help you practice the equations. Scroll down. Any type of videos for the unit, you definitely want to take a look at. There's the stomata, there's the photosynthesis, there's something on cellular respiration. I didn't show you this one. That might help you again with cellular respiration. There's a textbook pages for photosynthesis. I don't know what cellular respiration was, but you have your own textbook. Basically, you're being tested on page 44 through 53. And then for here, you won't see this. Sorry, there's an old version of the photosynthesis notes, but that's okay. Here's your key for photosynthesis, your green notes, and here's the cellular respiration notes. So if you need to go through and double check to make sure you filled out all the blanks, please do that. Sorry, my handwriting is a little bad there. Definitely do that. See how I did that? I wrote that there. So please make sure that you copy this down. Again, feel free to email me, reach out, send me a message through Schoology if you're still confused. This is not going to be that long of a quiz. I do want to make it 20 questions at least, or have it be out of like 20, so that way everything's worth like, out of 100, that would be like worth 5 points. So you definitely want to make sure that we have enough questions so that if you get 1 wrong, you'll still have an A. If you get 2 wrong, you'll still have an A. 3 wrong, hey, you'll get a 90, which is still an A minus. But then if you get four more wrong, then it starts getting the B territory. But that's kind of what it is. Go through bell ringers, exit tickets, make sure you do all that stuff. So yeah, again, if you have any questions, let me know. And I will see you on Monday. Have a great one.